Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This Shabbos is Shabbos Torah portion of Noach. The opening of this week's Torah portion says, Noach ish tzaddik tamim haya b'dorasav. That Noach was a ish tzaddik, he was a man who was righteous. He was tamim, he was complete in his generation. But the words at the end of the pasuk, it complicates the discussion. And that's what Rashi brings up. What do you mean in his generation? Was he considered a tzaddik, or was he not considered a tzaddik? And so Rashi actually says it, that there were those that would say that what Noach, in his generation, he was a tzaddik, he was righteous. But if he lived in any other generation, which wasn't the generation of the evil flood, in which people were murderers and rapists and thieves, but lived in the generation of Abraham, he would be considered nobody. And so there are those that say he was a tzaddik in his right space. And so obviously to be even a good person in a place of chaos represents a very powerful idea. But what was Noach missing? What was the deficiency in Noach that some would say yesh lignai, that some would say that was for negative, that if he was at the time of another era, of non-chaotic era, that he wouldn't be considered such a great and righteous individual? And the answer the Rebbe explains was that Noach, he had 120 years to build this massive ark, this incredible ark. Recently, there's some new scientists and archaeologists that are saying they found the location of the ark based on archaeology. 120 years to build this incredible ark, and during that time, he was building it by himself, his sons, and people would come over to him and they would ask him, "What are you building this for?" And he'd say, there's going to be, God said there's going to a flood is going to come to destroy this world. But he never goes out and tries to transform the people. He never goes out and to warn the people and to change over the people. In Yom Kippur, we read about the story of Jonah. And Jonah does the opposite. He runs away because he doesn't want to tell Nineveh, the city of Nineveh, that they should do tshuva, because he's afraid that if they will go there and do tshuva, if he tells them to go there and do tshuva, then they will repent. And what's they going to say? That the Jewish people, they don't listen to God, but the people of Nineveh did. And so he tries to run away, and ultimately he comes back to Nineveh, and God brings him back after the whole story of the Jonah and the giant fish. And he ends up telling the people to do tshuva, and they listen. But Noach doesn't try. He doesn't try to bring the people in. He doesn't try to save the people around him. He doesn't try to build and tell people, it's time to change your ways because God is going to bring this flood. And it's not just a flood that's a hurricane 5 days. He has 120 years to do it. And so therefore, what many would call Noach is a tzaddik in pelts. A tzaddik in pelts means a tzaddik in a fur coat. When it's freezing cold in the room, there's two options. One option is you can put on a fur coat, then you only take care of yourself. And ultimately, that's what Noach does. He only takes care of himself and his family, but he doesn't bring anyone else in to survive. The other option is to light a fire. Light a fire in the room to warm up the whole room around you and bring the warmth of Yiddishkeit, of Judaism, of holiness and goodness around you. And this is what the deficiency, those would say, the yesh lignai, that Noach was missing. Noach was missing that element of outreach. Yes, he was very spiritual. Yes, he listened to God. Yes, he built an incredible ark, a good portion of his life, in order to save himself. But he only saved himself. He wasn't saving the world. And yes, we can't always save the entire world, but we're able to save the people around us. And so comes this Shabbos Parshat Noach. We remind ourselves the important message that Noach was missing, that many would say that Noach was missing, and that is that we have an obligation not just to worry about ourselves. It says, Kol Yisrael Rebim Zelazeh, we are all guarantors of one another, and therefore we have to make sure that the people around us are also taken care of. Open our homes to them, bring them to shul, invite them to do a mitzvah. If we're celebrating our Judaism, but we see people around us don't have that opportunity, or may not even know about it, invite them in, teach them about a mitzvah. Especially during this period of time where for the last 18 months we were somewhat insular. It's time to reach out to the people around us and try to bring them into our ark, to our spiritual space, and give them the warmth of the Torah, light the fire around them. And if we do that, then God will grant us all the blessings that we'll have in this week's Torah portion, of a tremendous flood of blessings instead of a flood of destruction, a flood of parnasa, of children, of health, and only beautiful things. Shabbat Shalom. We'll see you tonight and tomorrow, 10 o'clock.